channel. My name is Taps.
And I'm Snacks.
And we are going to do the biggest tent comparison video ever. So we have 4 different tents. The first one we're going to start with the Gossamer Gear, the one. It is a trekking pole tent and a 1-person tent.
Next up, we have the 2-person. It is the Big Agnes Scout UL2.
And then the third tent, we have another Big Agnes. This one is my brand new tent. I haven't even opened it up yet. This is the Tiger Wall UL 2-person tent. This one is a semi-freestanding tent, and it uses actual poles instead of trekking poles. And then the fourth one
is the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL3. It's obviously a 3-person tent. It is completely freestanding, so no trekking poles. You could probably get by without staking it out.
And we're going to give you a positive and a negative real quick about each one. Alright, here we have the Gossamer Gear, the one. This is a single person tent. It takes 2 trekking poles and about 8 to 11 stakes to stake out. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the negatives and the positives about this tent. The positives first, the weight. It is really ultralight. You're not even going to notice it when it's in your backpack. All it takes is the 2 trekking poles, which, hello, multi-purpose tools. You're already using your trekking poles, so why not put them to work when you get to camp? You can just set up your tent. It's really fast to set up, and I've had a lot of good adventures with this tent. Okay, now my negatives on this tent. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I have 2 really big negatives that eventually made me switch to a completely different tent. So for the first one, this one is going to be a single wall tent. It's not going to offer that protection that you really need, especially being on a wet trail such as the AT, where it rains like every other day or every day. So being that it is single wall, there is not going to be that added layer of a rain fly. So the condensation that builds up in this is insane. So one like single brush like this on the inside, all that condensation, all that wetness is going to get on your clothes, on your gear, on your sleeping bag, and that's something that you do not want. The second thing is that it is kind of a pain in the ass to set up. While it is really quick to set up, it is kind of difficult. So you have to seriously be a pro at setting this thing up, or else one little windstorm and it's gonna shake and fall right down on top of you. See, it literally just fell behind me. Granted, we did not pitch it like perfectly, but whenever you're out in the woods and you're trying to hurry up and set it up, like, you have to pitch it up perfectly every single time, or else one windstorm, one rainstorm, and it's going to come down and you're going to be SOL. So, on to the next one. So now we have the Big Agnes Scout UL2. This one is a 2-person tent, is a trekking pole tent, and Jeremy bought this tent about
a year ago, right before our trip to Big Bend.
About a year ago, and so he has used it, but really we've used it more together than like solo. This tent has been like the basis of all of our adventures this past year, and honestly, I love this tent so much. For it being a trekking pole tent, I feel like it is insanely secure, and even during like rain or wind, we got stuck in rain in Pinhoti, and I didn't feel like it was gonna fall down on us. I didn't feel like there was really any condensation at all. With 2 people in here though, it is a bit snug, and you really have to watch like how you are maneuvering yourself in here so you don't like throw some elbows at each other. But for it being a trekking pole tent, I think it is really stable.
My favorite thing about this tent is that because it's a trekking pole tent, you're saving space in your bag. That also saves a lot of weight as well. I mean, this thing I think is under 2 pounds and crams into about a volume this big, so it's easy to stuff in there, and then you're already carrying your trekking poles.
Multi-purpose.
Yeah.
Our negatives, I would say the biggest one for us is being that it is a 2-person tent, and it's advertised as a 2-person tent, you really need to have 2 doors, or at least have a door be on the side. So whenever we personally sleep, we sleep with our feet back that way, or else, I don't know if you can see from this angle, but there is a trekking pole right in the middle of the tent. So we sleep with our feet down that way. That way our head isn't like banging into the trekking pole. So that's like one of the biggest things. And the fact that there's only 1 door here and that it's not on the side. So we literally like awkwardly have to like climb out of this thing every single time we get out.
Yeah, and with this front trekking pole in the middle, you really only have a door right here because it zips to that direction with the 2 zippers. So you effectively have half of this as a usable door, unless the whole door is open. The only other feature that it's really missing is the vestibule. It does not have a vestibule.
No vestibule.
That would have come in handy several times.
And then my last big complaint, and I think this has been said across the board about Big Agnes specifically, is that the zipper system is, I'm sorry, Big Agnes, but it's downright awful. As you can see right here, there is a hole right here. So this extra little bit of a liner gets stuck in the zipper. So anytime you go to open it, it always gets stuck. So then you have to take that extra couple seconds to like undo it and then pull this piece back and then zip it up. And as you can see right here, there's a hole. When I was on the Florida Trail a couple weeks ago, I really had to pee in the middle of the night, and I had to hurry up and just said screw it and just ripped a big hole in it. So I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But Big Agnes, you need to work on your zippers. Next tent. Okay, and now we are sitting in the 3rd tent. This is the Big Agnes Tiger Wall 2-person tent. So I literally just pitched this. We literally just pitched this for the first time right now. And this is the first time Jeremy and I are in it at the same time. And our very first reaction is that this being a Big Agnes tent, as the Scout we were just in,
it's a little bit smaller.
It's a lot smaller than the one we were literally just in, but
there's no trekking pole in between you, so you don't have to worry about kicking that down in the middle of the night.
So that's a plus. And the biggest thing also is that there are 2 doors. There's 1 door right there, and then there's another door right here. And both of these do have big, huge vestibules. So really, I love this tent. I was in one with my good friend Jersey. We were on the AT in New Jersey, and she had the Tiger Wall UL 3-person, and that one felt like a freaking mansion. It was huge, and it was just so sturdy and so secure. So I really feel like with these tents, if you guys didn't know this already, you really need to upsize a person. So say it's going to be 1 person, you really need a 2-person tent. Let's be real. If it's 2 people, you really need a 3-person tent. So that's just my little tip, and that's how I work. And I mean, I like having that elbow room, and I like having room to put my bag in here, put the things that I need in here, and not have to worry about, you know, compromising space for the weight.
Yep, especially with 2 people, it means if y'all both have your own door on this Tiger Wall, y'all also get your own vestibule to store your pack. I mean, this is pretty spacious, probably almost 2 feet between the door and the top zipper down here. A lot of space for your pack, your boots, without having to get the inside of your tent dirty. Tent, also by Big Agnes, as the previous 2 were. This is the Copper Spur UL3. One thing we've learned in sharing the Scout or any 2-person ultralight tent is that you really want to upsize by a person. Biggest feature on these, the vestibules. It's got one on both sides. There is a door on that back side. See if I can operate these.
Hi, welcome to my crib.
So a couple things on this tent. As you can see, since it's a 3-person, there is plenty of room. I mean, yeah, you can sit up fully and you're not even close to touching the roof. There's an added vent in the back that you can pop out.
I love this. Wow.
It also has a loft for equipment, water bottles, etc. But I mean, it doesn't even matter which side you put your head on because this tent is so spacious for 2 people. Completely freestanding, so you could get by conceivably without the stakes outside of the vestibules, of course.
This one also does have the 2 doors like the Tiger Wall did with the 2 big, huge vestibules. Obviously, this one's going to be bigger because it is a 3-person tent, but I think that we are going to enjoy this tent a lot more than the Scout that we're used to. This is going to be like a mansion compared to that one. But otherwise, I mean, if you have 2 people, I would look into getting this 3-person one. The 2-person one is just a little too small for 2 people. Unless you are 1 person, then it's good for you. There's a lot of cool pockets in here.
Yeah, and vents. Vents and tents.
So a big perk so far from the freestanding and the semi-freestanding tents versus the trekking pole, that one totally fell down, versus the trekking pole tent is obviously, it's going to be pitch perfect pretty much every time.
As we can see on some of these other tents, you know, we did this one really quickly. But again, you know, the flaps aren't done right because if you don't have a perfect area to lay out your tent, which you don't always have on the trail, then it doesn't hold up very well. And poor Gossamer, if you really don't have it perfect every time, it's going to fall over.
Yeah. It's like, I've set it up a couple good times, but it's just, it really takes that perfect pitch and you really have to get good at it before, you know, you can really feel comfortable taking it out in the field and getting comfortable with it. It is a shelter, and it's supposed to keep you safe, so you don't want to feel scared about having a shelter that's just going to plop on top of you in the middle of the night or let rain in on your expensive gear.
Welcome to our cribs. Tents on tents on tents.
Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions about any of these tents, please feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at Taps and Trail and Snacks at
Expedition Pelto.
Pelto, and we can definitely answer any questions you guys have. Catch you next time.
It's my thing.